Hey everybody, it's Jeff Epps with Stemeral City, and today I wanted to take you into the world of the Databot, right? This is a really neat little piece of machinery. It's got multiple sensors into it. And if you go to the website, you can really learn a lot about how it could help you incorporate data science into your classroom with your students. But for today's quick little session, I wanted to introduce you to the Arduino interface for the Databot, because the Databot runs on an Arduino ESP32 chipset, and we can use the Arduino interface to actually communicate with the Databot. And for me, whenever I'm working with my students, I not only want them to understand how something works or what something does, but I want them to understand how it works and kind of get under the hood. So let's start by getting the Databot connected to our USB interface on the computer. So there is a USB interface that's located right here. It's the power interface, and I'm going to plug that in right here. Flip that over. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and power up my Databot. And you will see the lights come on, and we now have flashing LEDs that indicates that the Databot has now been connected. So couple of quick things, because this could be really frustrating for teachers, especially when you're trying to learn how to do all this stuff and you're trying to do it based on tutorials. So I want to kind of go through some of the gotchas that you might run into when you're trying to get the Databot set up in your Arduino IDE interface. So I've installed the Arduino IDE editor on my computer, and I downloaded mine from the Windows Store. You can download it from their website, and the Databot website has the links for that. But one of the most important things that you have to do is make sure that you have your boards set up and that you're communicating through the right port. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Tools, and I'm going to show you where I have my board set up as the ESP32 dev module. And when you load your boards, you'll pretty much see the ESP32 Arduino setup. I think on the instructions on the website, it talks about setting up an Arduino Uno. Big mistake. That doesn't happen there. You want to set up the ESP32 Arduino board. So I have mine set up here, and then of course you see all of these different little options and stuff like that. So that's the first step. Make sure that you have the right board connected, because that makes a big difference when you're trying to upload code to it. The next step is we want to make sure we have the correct port selected. And here my port is going to be communication port 9. Now, how can you determine that? Well, real quick, if you right click on the Windows icon in the bottom left hand corner, and then you click on Device Manager, it's going to bring the Device Manager up, and you should be able to see under ports, you will see the communications port for your Databot. Also, on the website, it talks about downloading the right driver. Those links are good there. Make sure you get the driver loaded. Your communications port will come up. So now we see that we are communicating with port 9. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now we're actually ready to start working with the Databot. So what's really cool is after everything is set up, they have these sample sketches that are built in. So I'm going to click on File and Examples, and then I'm going to scroll down to the Databot 2 examples, and here they are. Okay, in the list, you may have to scroll down a little bit, but here it is, Databot 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Sensors. And so it has sketches built in, sample sketches built in for all of the sensors. So I'm going to start with the acceleration sensor. And I'm going to load Databot acceleration. So now we actually see the sketch here on our screen. Now this is really cool because at this point the students get an opportunity to actually view the code that's running the Databot. And if you are a coding instructor or a computer science instructor, wow, this is really great for you to be able to use as a tool with your students. And you know, you've got your different types of blocks of code here. I can see that the Databot is using an Adafruit NeoPixel board based inside of it. Really cool. Here are my variables, right? Essential to coding. And then we have our settings and how it's talking to the Databot and what baud rate it's talking to it, and then the actual printout, what's being sent out from the Databot. So, you know, this really ties into industrial manufacturing, industrial maintenance, because these are the types of sensors and things that they use in a manufacturing facility. So it's a great way to introduce students to that pathway. All right, so the next step is to get this code uploaded to my Databot. And so this is where having the COM port and all of that is important. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on upload. And you can see down here it's compiling the sketch, and that's what this is called. It's called a sketch. So now we're compiling the sketch, and it's going to upload that sketch to the Databot. Now, keep in mind, this could take what we call in the IT world a hot minute, because in IT, a hot minute is like a minute or 2 or 3. But you can see over here we have an indicator level explaining what's happening, and we can see that it's currently uploading the sketch to the Databot, and we'll give that a few seconds to take place. So now we see that the upload has done. It's now completed, and now the code is on my Databot, and I can see that I have a blue light instead of the red and blue light. Now I have a blue light, which means the Databot is now running this code. Now the cool thing is, how do we see that? How do we know it's working? Well, right here in the Arduino interface, we have what's called the serial monitor and the serial plotter. So I'm going to turn on the serial monitor, and as you can see here, I can now see the data happening. I can see the magic happening. So if I begin to move my Databot, and this is the x-axis here, we can see that the data begins to change. And I'm moving now on my y-axis, and now I'm moving on my z-axis. So we're seeing the data begin to change, and we're watching that in real time. This is so cool because now students get a chance to see what's happening under the hood. Now this is the raw data that's coming from the Databot with the actual time. This is great for data analysis, right? Now I'm going to close this out, and then I'm going to open up the serial monitor. Well, no, take that back. We're going to open up the serial plotter. Okay, I really love this because this is graphical, and you know, working in STEM all of these years, you've got to have something that your students can see and touch, because that makes the learning more tangible and it'll definitely stick. So if I'm moving on my x-axis now, look at that. I'm starting to see that my x-axis, I'm getting some actual movement on it. On the y-axis, look at that, and on my z-axis. So I'm starting to see visually the data that's coming out of the Databot. This is so cool because it allows us to make the learning more tangible for students. Okay, so there's yet another way to make this happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring up Microsoft Excel, and I'm going to close out my Databot in the Arduino. Okay, so that's closed out now. But the Databot is still running. Now I'm going to show you a really cool tool to use with Microsoft Excel. Now let me say this. In order to really use this, you have to have Microsoft Excel installed, and it's going to have to run on a Windows machine. But I mean, we still have Windows machines in our schools. All right, so now what I'm going to do is open up the data streamer portion of Excel. Okay, I'm going to click on that, and notice here we have a connect to a device. Well, when I click, look at what we see. We see the same communications port, right? that we were using in the Arduino. So we simply connect to it. And now all of a sudden, look, we've got data coming in. It's already set it up for us. It's created us a sheet within our workbook. So now I can tell it to start data. And look what we get. We're now starting to see this data come through our Databot, come from the Databot. Pretty cool, right? It's looking at data from our z-axis. Okay, and as I'm moving the Databot up on the z-axis, look at how the data is changing. I can then begin to tell it to start recording data. Okay, so now everything I'm doing is now being recorded. And when I tell it to stop the data, look, it automatically generates me a CSV file, a comma separated value file that I can use now to really challenge my students to have them analyze data, disaggregate it, and tell the story, because that's what data science is. It's about telling the story based on data. I can then tell it to stop the data, and so now I have this this spreadsheet that I can use for a variety of purposes. So I wanted to give you this quick little I guess you could call it Kickstarter on using the Databot, but using it with the Arduino interface and using the data streamers as a way, as an alternative to really challenge your students in the classroom and really take them down the road to career pathways and hands-on experiences. This is Jeff Epps. If you have any questions, you can always reach me at jeff@stimulcity.com. I always enjoy talking with educators about how we can integrate more STEM into the classroom. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it.